seem right and make the darkness bright. That's what you do.
Madden Brotherhood League, what is up? Welcome to another edition of CoachTy's Corner. I know it's been a while, as evidenced by Doc telling me, hey, Ty, it ain't freaking Christmas no more. Anytime you want to do a new show and get the Christmas special off the main page, that'll be great. So when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, you know, it kind of is crazy that it's January 19th and you log on to the site and it says CoachTy's Corner's Christmas special. So I'm back at it again. We took a little hiatus. The holidays were crazy. A lot of us were doing a lot of holiday wrap-up, dealing with family and relatives. Time was limited, beginning of a new year. So me and Reggie have been able to get it together, but we got back together to give you guys this show. Have a great special guest coming on in a little bit. I'm going to keep that quiet until the guest comes on. That way, if he doesn't come on, I don't look like a fool. But I know he's coming on. He's a good guy. You guys will be glad to hear from him. He's never been on the show before. He's got a lot of good tips and good things to say, so stay tuned for that. As for goings-on in the league, as opposed to me starting out with a tangent of tips, since it's been a while, I'm just going to catch up on goings-on in the league. League One's rolling along pretty good. As a matter of fact, it's rolling really good right now. We've been pretty close to wrapping up the weeks early. Everyone's playing their games pretty quickly. We've had a few stallers last minute, but mostly everybody's playing their games pretty quick. Madden Fever's hit hard. Everybody's kind of caught the bug, and everybody's doing their thing. As things look right now, in the AFC East, New England Patriots have ran away with this thing. They're 11-1. I mean, they haven't totally ran away with it because the Dolphins are hanging toughness. The LC is 8-4, but Patriots, along with the Broncos, are looking like they're unstoppable right about now. So, short of New England Patriots having a collapse, which I don't see, they should take that division going into the playoffs. But the Dolphins are looking good, possibly for a wild card spot. Looking very good. AFC North is interesting. Baltimore Ravens, open show is 10-2. But one of the surprises of the season, the Cleveland Browns in darkness, 9-3. Really glad to see that guy at 9-3. Veteran guy that's in the league, quiet guy. You never hear him in the chat. He's never involved in no controversy. You never hear from this guy. He doesn't make any trades. Didn't have the best of years last season or last year, but 9-3 is solid with the Cleveland Browns of all teams. So, gotta respect that guy and give it up to him. He's only one game back of the Ravens at 10-2. In the AFC South, the Jaguars are locked in a pretty close battle with the Houston Texans. So UGA's got a one-game lead over Reggie. Reggie has struggled a little bit since making all of those trades and deciding to go the way of defense. He struggled a little bit, but he's getting his mojo back at the right time of the season. Got a good win over the Jets last week. Is looking to bounce back and play some good ball. So the AFC South should be pretty close. AFC West, in maybe the biggest surprise of the season, aside from Cleveland, the Koopy Smacker at 11-1, the Denver Broncos. Koopy caught a lot of crap. He is the guy in this league everyone loves to hate. Everyone's quick to bash him about his running up the score tactics. A lot of people don't like Koof. But not only has Koof played well, he's shut a lot of people up. And surprisingly enough, Koof has been absent from the chat, which really shocks me. Because when he was bad, he was talking a bunch of smack. He's good, and now he's quiet. That was my advice to him on the Christmas show, and also to him personally. He's a guy I like and respect and talk to on the phone. He's a guy that I've labbed with and worked with a little bit, and hopefully some of the things that I've helped him with have helped him, but I'm not trying to take credit for his gameplay. The man's played great ball, and he's 11-1. And then another big surprise, San Diego Chargers and Coach Fogras is 6-6. Kind of not had the season he's wanted to have. I know what that feels like, but he's still battling. But Koofy's looking solid in the AFC West, and he's looking like a 1 seed or a 2 seed, or maybe 3. You know, the Ravens are right there. He's looking like a solid playoff team. In the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, coached by the commissioner filling Canada, the New York Giants, coached by Jay Garoot, in a dogfight. Right now, the Eagles are 8-5 because they played. The Giants haven't played this week, but that division looks like it's going to go down to the wire. They're only 2 games back. The Dallas Cowboys are 6-7. You can't count them out just yet because, you know, if Philly or New York slips, the Cowboys are right there. Washington Redskins, Lancer at 2-10. Expected a lot of great things from Lancer. I feel like he's a good player. I feel like he hasn't found his scheme yet with that team. I was reading the chat earlier, and he stated that Washington sucks, which I got a good laugh out of because I understand that frustration. But I think Lance is better than a lot of people think, and I think once he figures out what he wants to do with that team and how he wants to play with them, and he comes up with a scheme for him, he's going to be solid. But this season, not so much. NFC North, my division, Chicago Bears 11-2. Candyman's cruising right now. What's new? On paper, the NFC North with Candyman, Detroit Lions, myself, the Minnesota Vikings, Shy Tough, and Green Bay Packers, Dot Watcher, should be season in and season out the best division in the league. For some reason, it doesn't work out that way. And once again, Candy's cruising. Once again, what's new? Only 2 losses, and I think one of them was a sim. I'm in second place at 5-7. No threat to Candy. Green Bay lost to Candy today. They're at 5-8, and the Vikings are pulling up the rear at 4-8. NFC South. That's going to be a great division to watch. The Carolina Panthers have overtaken the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, both teams are 8-4, but the Panthers hold a victory over Coach Spud's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, interesting enough, the Panthers play the Detroit Lions, me and my team, this week. Now, on paper, because I'm 5-7, it doesn't look a great matchup, but I've won my last 3. I'm in some new books on offense and defense. I'm looking good, and this is an important game for Candy and Tampa. For Carolina and Tampa. But that division is probably going to come down to the last week. NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals, 8-5. The San Francisco 49ers, 8-5. This ain't baseball. Another great division that's going to come down to the last week. So we got some exciting finishes set up down the line. Now, for those of you who don't know, NBL has a second league, and it is a fantasy league called NBL 2 Fantasy. NBL 2, the Super Bowl winner was Candyman. Again, what's new? He beat Shy Tough in a great, close, classic game. But the league didn't generate a lot of interest. There was a lot of owners who didn't play their games and a lot of owners that quit. Mark Gates is the commissioner, and Philly is basically assisting him in commissionership in that league. But it's kind of Gates' show, for those who don't know. And it's a fantasy league. The draft was held last week, and all 32 teams got to pick and select teams. And what's good about it is, with the exception of about 4 or 5 owners who I've heard say have crappy teams, everyone's happy and excited about their team. The entire talent roster pool of the NFL was split up amongst all those teams, and every single team has a little bit of talent. Again, 4 or 5 guys who say their teams don't have any talent, but for the most part, out of 32 teams, you have 28 teams that are pretty evenly matched, that have a ton of talent. And on top of that, we're playing in an all-Madden setting, which means a lot of advantages that some teams may have are going to be neutralized, because all Madden truly levels out the playing field and takes away the advantages of superior talent. So it's going to be an interesting, fun season. Season 1 has just started yesterday due to the PlayStation maintenance. A lot of excited. A lot of guys are amped. There's a lot of new guys over there. We're not just playing the same old guys. So if anyone is interested in playing in NBL 2, the second league, you'll have fun and you'll enjoy yourself. What you're going to want to do is contact Coach Mark Gates, the commissioner over there, and you're going to want to put your name on the waiting list, because as I understand it right now, there is a waiting list because a lot of people are anxious to play. It's a fun league, evenly matched teams in an all Madden setting, a lot of the old veterans, but a lot of new guys. A lot of these new guys are from the Madden Students website, and anybody that trolls YouTube knows that Madden Students website is one of the better sites online. They offer a lot of tips, and it's just good entertainment. So if you're interested, please contact Martin Gates, the commissioner, to put yourself on the waiting list. Now, once again, we have a special guest that should be joining us shortly. The interim, I figured I'd start out with a few tips because I haven't given tips in a while because I haven't did the show in a while. So I'm going to focus on two areas. One area being special teams, the other area being confidence in playing the game. So anybody that plays Madden knows that Madden, not Madding, is about execution. But before you can execute anything, Madden is a mindset, and Madden is all about confidence over an opponent. So today I want to look and talk about being confident going into a Madden game and how just mentally having your mind right can help you win a game. So we're going to start out by asking three base questions. And I'm going to ask these questions, and I'll pause briefly. And as I ask these questions, I want all you guys listening to the show to think about okay, the first question. If you go into a game against a level 6 opponent, what are you thinking? And how confident are you can win? I'm going to pause because I want you to think about that question. Okay? Again, if you're going into the game against somebody that's a level 6 player, what are you thinking and how confident are you that you can win? Second question. Now, if you go into a game against somebody that's a level 18 player, now what are you thinking? Are you scared that that person's out of your league? I want you to think about the answer to that question to yourself. The third question. Do you utilize and have the same strategies against both the level 6 or the level 18 player? Are you more nervous to play the level 18 guy than you are the level 6 guy? Okay? Now, here's a confidence chart that I'm going to break down for you guys. And I want you guys to ask yourselves, which one of these two players are you? Okay? Now, if you're a confident Madden player, when you play against a good player, here's your thought. Here's your mindset. You're thinking to yourself, all right, this guy's a solid player. Even though he's a good player, he's solid. But you're thinking to yourself, my scheme is solid, and I have enough confidence to run this on anyone. The good player might be able to adjust his D, but that's when I'll adjust my offense and hit him with something new. This is going to be a great chess match, and I'm ready and I'm confident in my defense. I'm going to blitz the hell out of him, and I'm going to force him to prove that he can beat my heat. That's a confident Madden player's mindset. Now, a non-confident Madden player goes into a game thinking against a good player, oh no, this guy's going to shut down everything I do. I'm not going to have any time to throw the ball, and he's going to have all types of super nanos and sack me instantly. Hopefully, I'll have enough time to throw some picks. I'd be better off to sit back and make sure he can't score quick touchdowns and prevent big plays. If I blitz him, he'll pick me apart. And he's way too good to throw any interception, so I'm not going to get any breaks. Now, I want you to analyze both mindsets. The first mindset I gave you was the confidence of a Madden player playing a good person, and the second mindset was what you think when you don't have confidence. Now, here's another scenario. When you're playing bad players, your mindset, if you're confident against a bad player, is, you know what, this guy sucks. I can't wait to get in the game with him. I'm going to get up 21-0 on him, and I'm going to force him to basically tap out or quit. On defense, I'm going to blitz the hell out of him because I know that I can make quick adjustments to stop his offense. He's not going to change up at all on me, and I'm going to destroy his average defense with my offense. I can't wait to have some time in the pocket and force some turnovers on D. That's the mindset if you're confident against a bad player. And the mindset if you're not confident against a bad player is, all right, we're probably around the same level. Hopefully he doesn't get any lucky turnovers because I can't overcome that. I'm just going to wait him out on offense and hope he can't beat my conservative defense. On offense, I will run just a few plays, and I hope he won't be good enough to make adjustments. Now, what I'm trying to illustrate here is I'm giving you two sides of the perspective, one of confident Madden players and two of non-confident Madden players. Now, if you're not confident, when I spoke with a non-confident Madden player, you should be saying, damn, that's what I'm thinking before a game. And if you're confident, you should be thinking, damn, the scenarios he gave it a confident Madden player is what I'm thinking going into a game. either way, if you fall into the category of the non-confident Madden player, then you need to understand that that in and of itself is going to cause you to lose a lot more games than you may like. Okay? Going into the game, the way you prepare and your mindset, how you approach the game is going to determine a lot of whether you win or lose. Yes, execution is super duper important. At the same time, if you go into a game with the mindset that you can't win and you're not going to win, guess what? You're not going to win. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So hopefully just showing the fact that how powerful the mindset of being confident and non-confident can be going into a game, I'm hoping that you guys are able to sit back and analyze this. And if you're the non-confident Madden player right now, take that, take what I've said, adjust your game accordingly, and go into the game believing you can win. I don't care what your record is. I don't care if you have nothing to play for. You should never go into any game in this league feeling that somebody's vastly superior or better than you. They're actually not this year. This year, there's a fine line between good and great. That anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday. And you got to give yourself a chance going into the game if you want to be successful. Now, at this time, my special guest has arrived, and I'd like to welcome Chicago Tough to the show. Chicago Tough is the coach of the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC North. He's a guy that's very active in the chat. He's a guy that has his own Chicago hotline, and he's a guy that's been very instrumental in providing tips to anybody interested in the league to help them get better. He's a very knowledgeable Madden mind, and I think he's got a lot of good stuff to say and offer. So at this time, Reggie, I'd like to bring in and please welcome Chicago Tough to the show.
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's no problem. So, Shy Tough, you're 2 seasons in now in NBL League One. You were in NBL 2 and went to the Super Bowl, which we'll get to shortly. And you're now currently in the Fantasy League. What do you think about Madden Brotherhood League football?
Well, it's challenging. There's a lot of there's no cakewalks. You're not going to go into a game and just run over somebody. That's the first thing I noticed. And then the other thing is that the second time you play a guy, you better not come at him with the same thing you came at him the first time, because if you do, you're probably going to get run over. Because guys spend time in practice, guys spend time working on their game, and they take away what you like to do. So when you go and try to do the same thing to them, they're going to have an answer for you, and you're a perfect example, Ty. So you did it to me. So I learned my lesson the hard way, for sure.
How important do you think it is to adjust in Madden, period, since you brought that topic up?
Well, you have to. I mean, there's a couple of different ways to adjust. I mean, you can adjust in-game, which is always important, obviously. But then, when you get beat down pretty good, I mean, you have to kind of look at yourself and say, did I just throw bad balls? Did I make bad reads? Did I not run enough? You need to ask yourself kind of what you did wrong, and then sometimes it's your scheme. Sometimes your scheme just doesn't work against somebody. Maybe they play well against that type of player. Or, maybe you need to go back to the drawing board. I think it depends on the opponent, and it depends on kind of how you felt you played. I mean, if you played your best game and got beat by 28, maybe it just is what it is, and he's a better player. But if you threw 3 pick sixes and got beat by 28, I mean, I think you can kind of look in the mirror and say, my scheme is good. I moved the ball. I got 500 yards of offense, but when it counted in the fourth quarter, I threw it away. I know I've done that. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to as far as adjusting. Exactly.
Now, you also came out with a segment called the Chicago Tough Hotline. Basically,
yes.
Would you like to explain what your plans are in the future for revitalizing the hotline for those who don't know?
Well, it's something that I started shortly after I came to the league, just something where we could post stuff, or I could post stuff that would be just helpful in general to players of any skill level. So I did one on a Cleveland Browns playbook, a little mini scheme out of, I want to say it was the single back doubles formation. nothing. I don't know if you want to run it all game, but it's something you can use for a couple drives, and it's got some nice mixes in there for you. And also just for basic concepts, as far as we talked about the dime flat formation and how all the plays look the same. You can audible to anything, and it's going to look. Your opponent's not going to be able to tell what you're running. So things like that I like to post, and I haven't in a while. I've been real busy, but I plan on getting back into it now that we have the new Fantasy League 2 going. There's a lot of new guys, and it's nice to offer a helping hand, and anyone who wants to lab or just wants some general tips on whatever, beating two-man under or beating zone or whatever it is. I may not have all the answers, but I'll try to find them, and we'll try to find them together. So that's kind of what it's designed for, and yeah, it's been good so far. I enjoy doing it.
What has your response been? Have you gotten a few of the guys in League 1 and now maybe starting League 2, but I'll focus in League 1 since you started it there first? Have you gotten guys that have actually contacted you in terms of having you work with them and create schemes and things of that nature? What has your response been?
Well, I've had some guys in the chat ask me some specific questions about, I've had a lot of the, hey, I'm getting killed with the tight end streaks thing, because we all know that's a sore subject for some people, but it's a valuable weapon to use, and some people put in single back ace and they send two tight ends on streaks, and that can cause big problems. And so I've had some questions about that, and but as far as anyone reaching out directly through email that I didn't know, you could point to Blair's Basicist, and he's the owner of the Titans, I believe, in League 1, and now in League 2, he's the owner of the Jets. Got a big win last night, so kudos to him. But he reached out to me and he said, hey, I'm struggling. This is my first year playing online at all. I've played Madden since, '04, I think. But this is my first time going online. It's fun, but I'm kind of just winging it. I'm not really sure about scheming or what I'm trying to do or what I should be trying to do. And so we kind of started from ground zero with that. And he is, I can tell you, when we lab and when we play for seriously, I mean, we just score back and forth on each other, and he has made unbelievable improvements. So I'm kind of proud of that. Obviously, it's good to have a hand in that sort of thing. But he did it all himself. I mean, he put in the work, he put in the time, and when the time comes and you have to make that pass or you need to make that play, I mean, he's the one doing it. So the credit completely goes to him. But he reached out, and we've been lab partners ever since, and he's just a great guy. So I would love more of that type of thing, but that's the only one who's reached out directly through email, though, for sure.
So if someone wanted to reach out to you for assistance, what's the best way they can get a hold of you to help?
Best way to get a hold of me, my email is all over the site and the forum and the contact list. You can email me at my Gmail accounts. That's the best way to get a hold of me, or I'm in the chat a lot, so you can hit me up in there. And then if I don't respond to my email, which my wife's having a baby in 12 days, so I may be MIA for a little while. But after that, the best way, aside from email, would be to just text me. My number's also in the contact list. I don't hide. I'm around, so just hit me up either way, and I'd be glad to help out.
Fantastic. And let me be one of the first, I'm sure I'm not, but let me be one of the first, maybe from the league, to say, hey, congrats on the birth of a new little Shy Tuff. So let me to say that.
It'll be fun. It'll be interesting for sure.
I'm sure it will. Now, what would you say to a guy saying, hey, Shy Tuff, you're out here offering all this advice and you're 4-8. Hey, Coach Ty, you have a corner and you're trying to give out tips, and you're 5-7. Now, anybody that's played me, you knows we're pretty good players. Now, things haven't worked out for us exactly the way we would like in the first season or this season. Now, what would you say to the naysayers who doubt the validity of your advice due to the fact that you don't have the best record in League 1? How would you respond to that?
Well, I don't know. That's kind of tough because I'm not a guy who thinks I have to prove anything to anybody. I really don't care. to be honest with you, I mean, you don't have to take my advice. You don't have to use it. But if you reach out to me, if you choose to ask for help, I mean, if you're struggling with something, you know, who knows as to how many people are struggling with it. So I may be struggling with it, but if you reach out to me and you want to laugh, you want to work on it together, try to find an answer, then by all means, let's do it. But I mean, yeah, you can look at my record, and at the end of the day, like they say in the NFL, I mean, you are what your record says you are. So I can't dispute it. I can't dispute it. So, I mean, I can say I was in the Super Bowl in League Two with a hell of a lot better team than the Patriots, but that, again, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, results, you know, I mean, I'm a black and white guy as far as that goes, and, you know, I played some tough opponents this year, and I wasn't playing my best ball when I played against them, but that's not an excuse at all. So, I just know that everyone has their struggles from time to time, and you know, hopefully I can get on a winning streak here, in League One and start off good or start off well, I should say, in League Two. So, I mean, if you want help, I'm always there. But as far as people, you know, want to say, you know, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, fine. Then play your games and don't contact me or don't ask for help. But, you know, I'm here for the people who want it. That's all I can say, to be honest with you.
And I appreciate that answer because, you know what, I'm in the same position. So I didn't ask that question as some kind of way to try to out-expose you because, again, we're pretty identical. And my stance and position on that is, you know what, execution and knowledge of the game are two different things. Just because I executed as well as I'd like to in certain games, it doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the game. And the way I look at that is exactly what you just said. You know what, I've been in the league a while. People know what I've done last year. I haven't necessarily done it this year. People still have enough respect for me to know I can play this game. So when I'm out giving tips or advice, hey, it's not for my benefit. It's because I've seen a lot of things. I've matched up against guys, and I know what and how you want to do. Unfortunately, I've been able to execute that sometimes, maybe due to my scheme, maybe due to mentally being weak at certain times, and maybe due to the talent mismatch or matchups that I had posed against me. But like you, I try to offer as much help as I can because even though I'm not playing the best, you know, there's people that's playing worse than I am. So if you can find any merit out of what I'm saying and it helps you, great. And if not, and you don't respect what I'm saying, I'm like you. Hey, that's no problem. But a lot of people love the hotline and love the coach's corner, so we're doing something right. I just kind of wanted to put that out there because, you know, somewhere somebody is saying, well, why should I listen to this guy?
Sure.
Now, getting back to what you said about League Two, I do want to touch on that. You were the New England Patriots in League Two. You just played a Super Bowl against one of the best players in either league, Candyman. It was a very great competitive Super Bowl that I was wishing was going to be edited and posted, but Candy said he didn't have the time to edit it, so I understand that. Can you describe the excitement and the thrill of that run you made to the playoffs and what you encountered and faced and how you feel you fared in the Super Bowl against Candy in League Two, for those who don't know?
Well, I finished the season at 12-4. We ended up, I want to say we simmed the last 3 or 4 weeks. I know that's a sensitive subject, Ty, so I won't get into that. But so we had to sim the end for various reasons. And once I was in the playoffs, I came up against Mark Gates, who's a real solid player, real fundamentally solid player. He knows reads, he knows where you want to go, and he's got a real good base of knowledge. And me and him subscribe to a lot of the same philosophies. So I played him in League One earlier in the season, and he beat me down. We were tied going into the fourth, and he ended up. I threw 3 pick sixes in one quarter, in the fourth quarter, and that was the end of that. So that was on me. But I felt really bad about that. I felt like I could have played better, like I was right there for a while. And he was my first opponent in League Two in the divisional round of the playoffs. So I kind of changed up some stuff I did. I kind of created on the fly new defense to go up against his quick passes that he likes to do, and it worked real well. I got 4 picks, and I kind of controlled the game, and I won. And so obviously that's a confidence booster when you just got beat down by the guy. it's good to make those adjustments and come back strong. And then I played UGA Dog, the Dolphins, who was also a solid player. I believe he was in the Super Bowl last year, won the Super Bowl, one of the two. But I know he's a solid player. He is just he's run and gun. He's going to put up points. He's going to score on you. So I had a real nice 49-14 victory in that one. Just played real solid. Just made my reads. Nothing crazy. Just basic football and pulled out the win. So had a lot of confidence after that going into the Super Bowl. And then facing Candy in the Super Bowl. Candy does not do anything that's going to wow you, or you're going to say, wow, that's some crazy screen or some crazy play. He is just very fundamentally sound, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, doesn't throw the ball up for grabs. And, he'll run the ball 2-3 times in a row and punt. I mean, he's confident enough in his offense and defense to where he'll do that. And he's going to wait till you make the mistake, and then he's going to capitalize on it. So I tried to not play into his hands, but he made a pick on an angle route at the goal line that it was like he was in my head. He just stood right, like he just immediately went and stood right there. I threw it because the play is almost always open. It just works every time, and it was one of the best plays I've seen this year. He knew exactly what was coming. So I made some mistakes like that I wish I could have taken back, but it came down to one play. I had the ball at his 37, down by 3. I had a tight end streak to Fred Davis that he was single covered. The safety had come down, so I threw it over the top, and unfortunately it was underthrown and picked, and then that was it. So I ended up losing 27-24, but I played a solid game overall, and a few I wish I could have had back, but what are you going to do? And it was a great Super Bowl, so kudos to him, though. He's a real solid player, and he's a guy who you can learn a lot from. So play against him, reach out to him. I'm sure he'd try to help you out if he can. So yeah, it was fun though. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Super Bowl a lot.
And it sounds like a really great game. Maybe perhaps we can convince Candy to go ahead and get that game posted, just because. I mean, it was a Super Bowl game. It was a great game. It was a close game. I've been in the Super Bowl against Candy, and I've played him a zillion times. You're in the NFC North. You played him a zillion times, so you know what you're going to get when you go in there against that guy. You know you can't make any mistakes. It was a great game on your half. And again, maybe I'll talk to Candy and some others and see if we can get them to post that game at a later time and date. Now, jumping back to League One, because this is also an issue that I have. Maybe you have an answer because I don't. Obviously, 12-4, and you probably would have had a better record if not for the Sims in League Two. Going to the Super Bowl, you have over 800-something skill points online, so you're a proven level 7, 8, 9 dude. We know you know the game inside out, and you're successful in every other endeavor with the exception of League One. Do you have any idea why that is? Because I'm like you. Very successful online, very successful in League Two, very successful in my other leagues. And in League One, I can't seem to put it together, and I have basically the Canton Greats in League One. But for whatever reason, seem to get out to slow starts. What do you think is the answer or reason why you've had that same issue?
Well, for me, and one of the things I was going to mention to you today is during the show, is just something simple that a lot of times I think maybe I try to come out blazing as far as put my best defensive blitzes out there right off the bat and try to send the fire, immediately and do all that, which is fine, here and there. But I think sometimes just going to a conservative defense, just to kind of see kind of the pace of the game, how the opponent wants to run, if they want to go no huddle, if they want to run the ball or pass the ball, and it's the safest defense in the game. You're not going to get beat deep most of the time unless something crazy happens. But it's just real solid. You're not going to give up gigantic chunks of yards as long as you cover the tight end. But
hey, what defense is that?
Oh, I said as long as you cover the tight end, for sure.
Right. Defense is that you're saying is a really safe, conservative defense to where you're not going to give up a lot of yardage?
Yeah, so I think that, for me, is something where, maybe I need to do base stuff more like that or cover 3 or whatever it is right out of the gate, because I'll go to it, but a lot of times I go to it a little too late. I'll send the fire in the first play, and I can't tell you how many times this happened in League One, and I give up a touchdown. First play, boom, right away, touchdown. And then you get that feeling immediately like, the guy didn't even have to work for it. I didn't see any of his offense. I don't know what he likes to go to, what reads he likes, how he handles, 2-man under and how he handles zone or any of that. So I've basically given away a free touchdown, taking no time off the clock, and now I'm behind the 8 ball already. And so this is something that has plagued me. So I'm starting to kind of reshape my theory on kind of how I'm going to do things as far as defensively. And then offensively, I mean, I can tell you, I don't know what it is, but I've got guys who have high 80s catches that are dropping everything, and I don't know if my scheme needs to be adjusted a little bit. I've been messing with that a little bit lately, or I just need better personnel. That's part of the problem, but not an excuse. So there's kind of a combination of factors, and then just I've made some dumb plays. I mean, against Mark Yates, I throw 3 pick sixes in 1 quarter. I mean, really, you just can't do it. I mean, you're gonna lose. It's just the way it is. So that's on me, and that's something where I mean, I think I had 550 yards passing in that game. I mean, it's not like I had a problem moving the ball. So that's on me. It's not like he stuffed everything I did. It's just, when it counted and when I thought I had some open, I wanted to force it in because I was behind, and he took advantage of it. All the credit goes to him for that. But I should have done things differently. So I think that's part of the problem. And then I went up against I want to say 4 out of 5 weeks, all consecutive. I think maybe it was 4 out of 4 weeks, but I went up against 4 guys that were all in the playoffs in League One last year, and I was not playing good ball at the time, and it showed. I got beat down. I think I got beat by 21 every week, and the sad part is that every one of those games I was tied or only down by, I think, going into the fourth quarter in all of them. And then I just fell apart. And that was on me. I wasn't playing good. I was just kind of maverick a little bit, and didn't do well for me. So I think that was the problem, at least for me. I don't know what you think about how your season has gone.
Well, honestly, I'm glad you brought this up because and I asked this question because what you went through sounds very similar and familiar to what I went through, and I'm going to explain my situation a little bit, and then I'm going to ask you how you can go about turning that around. The problem I had, basically, last season, season 1, and even early season 2 was with the onset of ball hawk and how easy it is to pick people in the pass game. I'm a pass-heavy guy. I built my team to pass the ball. I acquired Chris Johnson. I can run the ball decently, but I wanted to make a better effort to be more balanced in terms of pass run. So I took myself out of my game to try to do something that I'm not the best at because I felt it would give me a better chance to win. Well, the problem with that was it was somewhat successful, but I was finding myself in a lot of close games that in the last minutes of the game, I was losing due to various reasons. Fumbles, interceptions, turnovers. Whereas, since I'm a pass-heavy guy, I tell people this all the time. Either I'm going to win big or I'm going to lose big. I'm going to win big because I'm going to have about 400 yards passing. I'm going to have a wide margin of score where I can afford to make mistakes later on in the game. Or I'm going to lose big because the opponent I'm playing plays really good pass and he picks me off a lot. So getting back to where I was going wrong, I sacrificed and I stopped playing my game to try to play a game that I thought was going to help me win. That's not my game, and I was in a lot of close games that I was finding ways to lose instead of ways to win it on defense. I had gotten really conservative. I'm a blitz-heavy guy, and I just felt that the Heat was so inconsistent this year that just like you, I'd send blitzes and I'd get beat up top, and I fell into a pattern of being a lot more conservative. I fell back into a lot more zone coverages, and I was trying to keep everything in front of me and not let anything big get past me. And that was somewhat effective. It slowed people down. But since I was running the ball and playing that defense, again, I was in a lot of dogfights that late in the game I'd find a way to lose. What I did was I said, hey, to hell with it. I'm going to win or lose doing what I do best. I went back to passing first, and I went back to sending heat, and I've seen better success. Now, my next question to you then is, knowing everything that you know and having the bad start that you had last year and this year, same with me, what do you propose to other players in our league that are struggling? They're going through bad periods and they don't know how to get out of it. What can you suggest they do to turn their game around and get back on a winning track?
Well, for me, personally, I know that when I go into a league game, I mean, you feel a little, especially if you play somebody that you've never played before, which I'm about to in about 15 minutes here, for League 2, but when you play someone you haven't encountered before, I think you kind of get the jitters a little as far as what are they going to throw at me, what are they going to bring, especially if you don't play a lot of online rate. I did this year. I don't really anymore, but I have. So I don't experience that as much anymore, but I would say just relax and play your game. Don't give away a drive. I've seen too many guys, they go in first drive, and I was guilty of this too. This has been another one of my my problems, is I'll go in and I'll try to run the ball once, run the ball twice. Well, if that doesn't work, now you may have 3rd and 12 if they stuffed it in the backfield. So now they know you're going to pass, and they're going to put out their best pass defense, whatever it is, and then you just went 3 and out or threw a pick. And like you say, if you're best at passing, come out passing. Use your pass to set up the run. I mean, if that's what you're good at, do it. Do it right off the bat. Put the pressure on them. I mean, go out and score on them. I mean, if you know you can go down at 3 or 4 plays because you got, you are good at passing, good at making reads, you got plays that work for you all the time, go for it. Do it. Use it. Put the pressure on them to have to come back down and score because now they're down by 7. And no matter what anybody says, nobody likes being down. And nobody plays the same down. All right? So I would just suggest just be who you are. Like you said, you're a pass-heavy guy. You're good at passing, so do it. Use your run later. Mix it in. Use it as kind of a change of pace, something to kind of send the opponent. They're going to start dropping guys back because you're throwing every down. And let's say you threw 4 or 5 downs. Well, then mix in a screen, mix in a draw, mix in something, mix in the FL screen if you want. Whatever it is. But do something different out of the ordinary just to mix it in so that they have to say, oh, well, I can't just drop everyone back now because, I'm going to get hit with the screen and then it's going to go for a touchdown and then what do I do? And that's kind of the doubt that you want to create in your opponent, but you kind of want to do that without thinking about it. You just want to just be a little spontaneous sometimes. Just say, I'm going to come out first and I'm going to go, guns blazing, try to score on them, and then, whatever it is. If you run, fine, run. But if you're a passing guy, come out passing, and then, hey, as soon as they start adjusting to your reads, hit them with the draw, hit them with the screen or something of that nature. I would say that's the best way to break out of a funk. And then, like I said, if you're struggling on defense, call something simple. Call a 2-man under, call a cover 3, kind of gauge where they're going, if they're throwing lots to the running backs, if they're quick passers, or if they're waiting a long time. And let them get a little comfortable, and then bring whatever heat that you have in your book that you like to bring when they're least expecting it. Those are probably the best things I could say to kind of get you out of a funk.
And I happen to agree with that, by the way. My thing is, if I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose doing what I do best. At least if that game's over, like you said, I can say, hey, that guy was better than me, or I made some bad reads. I hate when I go to stuff new to try to break out of the slump I'm in, and it doesn't work, and then I feel like regret in my mind of, damn, well, I should have did what I did best. So I happen to agree with you. Now, I know you have to have a League 2 game here shortly because you just mentioned it, so I'm going to end this with one last question for you, and I'll let you go on your way, and it's going to kind of set up my closing segment on a final tip I want to give. Recently, there was a controversy in the chat in which, in League 2, the way you kick off is you kick high and to the corner sideline on every kickoff. You do it, I do it, Philly in Canada does it, Mark Gates does it. Those are the 4 I know for a fact does it religiously. And the opponent you was playing didn't appreciate or like the fact that you was kicking off like that. And then you spoke earlier, and we both laughed that people have texted us and hit us up on the PlayStation after those games, basically condemning the way we kick the ball off. So my question to you is this. Would you care to explain the kickoff you do, why you do it, and why it is a perfectly fair, fine, legit kickoff? And then after you do that, I'm going to go into my closing segment and let you get on to your League 2 game.
Okay, sounds good. the way I kick off is, and this is not original, by the way. If anybody's familiar with MaddenTips.com, there's a top player over there named S. Gibbs who does this, and this is the first time I saw it. And I actually have not done this until recently, but I figured I'd give it a try. What it is basically is you're gonna switch the view first of all in the kickoff, so you have that kind of first person view of where the kicker would be kicking. Then you're gonna angle it. You're gonna push the meter all the way up so that the arrow is all the way up, and then towards the sideline, but not you're gonna just want it a little off the sideline, kind of angled to the left, but not exactly all the way out, because if you hit it all the way out, it's probably gonna go out of bounds. But so you kick. It's basically a high, short kick, and you do no power on the meter. At least that's what I do. And then it only goes to probably the 31, 32-yard line. Usually a tight end or a fullback is the one who receives the ball. And if you are running down the sideline, if you click onto the DB running down the sideline, it'll be your third DB on the depth chart. So you run down the sideline and you try to get a hit stick with the guy on the sideline to see if you can force a fumble. Problem is a lot of times your third DB doesn't exactly have huge hit power, so a lot of times you just bounce off the tight end. Occasionally you can get them, but it's unless you insert somebody in the third DB spot, you're probably not going to get the result of the hit stick. The other thing it does is it eliminates the ability for you to return the kick. And I know that for me personally, I had one in the Super Bowl against Candy. He kicked deep and I ran back, and it was just, I had good blocking. I mean, it was nothing, it wasn't like I made some great play. It was just there. So I'd like to avoid that situation. I'll give you the ball in the 32 or 33 or whatever, even if you return it 5 yards, and I'll just play defense, because I'd rather you do that than run back the kick. So that combined with a possible hit stick opportunity is the reason why I do it. And as far as how I feel about people who don't like it, again, I'm not really a guy who cares much about what anyone else thinks. So I may be the wrong person to ask. But if you don't like it, just fair catch it. I mean, just click on the guy and hit the triangle button. And then your guy will fair catch it, and now you have the ball at the 32, 33, wherever you're at. You have good field position, so probably better field position than you'd have most times if I kicked it deep to you. So it's really not that much of a detriment. That's just kind of how I feel about it. So I guess that's it.
Now let me ask you this: you said you switched. For the listeners out there, you said you switched the kicker's point of view, and I'm sure that people who are interested in kicking off this way got all your instructions. But for those who don't know, how would you go about switching the kicker's point of view on the kickoff?
I believe it's R2 on the top there of the controller.
Yes. Now, yes, it is. Now, just to basically end that thought, I kick the same way. I, too, got that kick tip early in the season from S. Gibbs and Z Falls over at Madden Tips, which used to be Madden Bible. And the reason I do it is to basically eliminate the fact of a cheap kickoff, a cheap play. I, like you, believe that if you're going to score me, you're going to earn it. If there's one thing I hate in this game, it's giving up quick touchdowns on defense, and it's giving up special teams touchdowns. Because, again, it's demoralizing. It doesn't help me in terms of figuring out what you want to do to learn how to slow it down. And it's a cheap play that I'm not going to give up. I, like you, have been kicking off like that all year, and I've gotten my fair share of nasty messages with people accusing me of being cheap or cheesy or glitching or it's a BS kick. I'm not squibbing, and I'm not onside kicking it. And it's easily stoppable, like we said, by fair catching it. And I do it all game. So in the course of the game, I'm going to kick off you that way about 5 or 6 times. I get the first time, maybe even the second time. Maybe I'll even give you 3 times to where you're not realizing that's my tactic. After the 3rd time I'm kicking that way, you got to understand and know where I'm going with the football. All you have to do is fair catch it. Now, when I do it, I'm not even 100% necessarily looking for a hit stick. I get a lot of them, but that's not my intent. My intent is just to kick the ball to you in a manner to where you can't return the kickoff, because I'm content to play defense. I'm not content to give up a quick touchdown that way. So I happen to agree with you. I see nothing wrong with it, and that's why I wanted to discuss it, because I want other people to have that option of doing it. Now, at this time, I'm going to let you get ready for your League 2 game, and I'm going to thank you for being on the show. And I'm going to give another special teams tip, and then I'm going to end the show. But before we go and you head off to your League 2 game, is there anything, any tips or anything you'd like to say or address to the masses in the league while you have everybody's attention?
Just two real quick things. One, schemes. I know that there's a lot of talk about scheming and what schemes are good out of this book and that book. The honest truth is that it just involves time on your part to create a scheme, because only you know what you're good at and what plays look good to you. Because I may look at a play that I think is great, and you look at it and you're like, that's not very good. So what you need to do is you need to spend probably 2-3 hours of a night and go through a playbook, run every play in the book, and see what every quick audible is for each formation. See what works for you. See what what doesn't work for you, and you write down the plays that you want to run, and that's pretty much your scheme. And you practice it against every type of formation of defense. You go through, you see what works against what. You get your reads down. You write your reads down. That's what the scheme is. I mean, people ask, people want, what scheme do you have out of this? What scheme do you have out of that? I mean, that's fine, but at the same time, it's nothing that you can't do yourself. It's something that everybody has the ability to do. It's just it takes effort, it takes time, and it takes sometimes frustration, because you get through a book and you realize it's not that good. It's not something that's going to work for your particular play style. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, and this is for all the League 2 guys, and League 1, but as far as the guys, the admins in charge of the leagues, yourself, Philly, Spud, all the guys involved, just show respect to these guys, because you guys got to understand that all these guys have kids, they have families, and they have jobs. So you may be emailing them 30 times a day, but understand that they have a whole other life to worry about other than Matt. So show some respect is all I would say to everybody new and current guys, because these guys, they really bust their ass to make this a good league and to make it a good time for everyone. And I mean, this is recreation, so show a little appreciation and give them a break. That's not. We had an accidental sim by that Philly accidentally simmed Week 2 in League 1 this past in this year's league, and you know what? He doesn't need to be crucified for it. It was an accident. Accidents happen, so everyone just relax. Nothing's gonna go perfect, all the time. But overall, I mean, he does a great job, and all the admins do a great job. So, just give him a break occasionally. I mean, they all have lives of their own, and on that, I guess that's all I have for you.
I appreciate your closing statements. I greatly appreciate you having on the show. I enjoyed getting inside your mad mind. I appreciate the tips you gave, and like to do it again sometime. Wish you good luck in your League 2 game, and thanks for coming on the show today.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me, and hopefully I can be on again soon.
Alrighty. And when can we expect, real quick, the new Chicago hotline?
I will probably have something early, probably Monday or Tuesday for you, so early next week. I will have something, and I will post it on League 1 site and League 2. I'm thinking of just going through maybe a formation of a defense and kind of how you can use it to kind of disguise your coverages. So if guys are looking at the safeties, they'll get a little maybe get a little confused and make the wrong read, and it might benefit you. So that's kind of where I'm thinking of going with that.
That is fantastic, sir. I look forward to it. And again, thanks for having me on the show, bud, and good luck in League 2 game.
All right, take it easy, Ty. Thanks a lot.
No problem. That was Chicago Tough, guys. Now, we're pretty close to the end of the show, so since we ended the show on a special teams note, I'd like to add one more special teams note. This is a tip that I don't do too much this year. I did it last year. It was successful, and it does work, but I got away from it. But it's a tip that I like to give to you guys, because a lot of times on the show we focus on offensive tactics or defensive tactics. So I'm going to end the show with a special teams tip. We already instructed you on how you could kick the ball off to allow your opponent to not return the ball and possibly even get a turnover due to hit stick. The second tip I'd like to give you guys is when you're returning a punt or a kick, not a punt, a kick, how you could maximize your roster to ensure large kickoff returns. Now, what you're going to want to do, and this involves finagling your depth chart. There is a way that I'm about to give you guys that if you adjust your depth chart accordingly, you're going to have superior blocking on the field. It's going to allow you to return kicks for large chunks of yards. Now, what this involves is going onto your depth chart in one, on your special teams kickoff, making your second guy not a kick returner, but your fullback. And the reason you want your fullback, I know this sounds crazy, but the reason you want your fullback on your kickoff return team is because, obviously, he's one of your better blockers on your team. Now, in addition to this, you're going to want to go onto your tight end depth chart, and you're going to want to make your second and third tight ends offensive linemen. Now, don't worry. I know what you guys are thinking. Hey, wait a minute. If I make my second and third guys offensive linemen, when I'm in a 2 tight end set or 3 tight end set, I'm going to have 2 offensive linemen out there. That's not the case. Okay? Since these offensive linemen you're going to use are your starting offensive linemen, they're not going to break off the line and go into tight end spots. So it's not going to affect you. But what you're doing now by putting your fullback is your number 2 kick returner and making your 2 and 3 tight ends offensive linemen is you're giving yourself the best blockers on your team on special teams. Now, obviously, what you're going to want to do when the ball's kicked off to you is you're going to want to follow the blocks of your fullback and your 2 tackles who are in the 2 tight end spots on special teams. Now, if you're able to successfully get the kickoff and follow the blocks of your fullback and your 2 offensive linemen, they should pave the way. I mean, it's funny because when I do this and I look at those guys on the field, they look like refrigerators with legs. Everyone else looks all small and tiny, and then you see these huge, massive guys out there. Trust me, they will pancake a DB. They will pancake these special teams guys who are half their size. And they're going to pave the way for you to be able to turn the ball for large chunks of yards. So if you utilize that tip on how to return kicks, in addition to how you want to kick the ball off the way Chicago Tough and myself explained, it should be successful for someone on special teams. Now, special teams is a third of the game. You have offense, 1/3. You have defense, 1/3. Special teams. A lot of people don't pay attention to special teams. The special teams can win or lose a game. So the last tip I'm going to give you is another special teams tip. And it's no magical secret. Guys, whatever kicker you have, spend some time in the lab kicking field goals. I know you're thinking it probably sounds lame, but you want to know, especially if you're not familiar with your kicker, what his range is. If you've got a guy like Sebastian Janikowski can kick a 62, 65-yarder, or Mason Crosby on the Packers who can kick it about 60 yards, you're going to want to know that. Because when you're in that difficult 4th and 1 and you're on the 40, instead of punting the ball or saying, do I have to go for it, you need to know if your guy can or cannot make that field goal. So, guys, if you don't do nothing else, if you get a new team, you got a new kicker, go ahead and spend some time in the lab kicking with that guy to see what his max range is. With that said, guys, I'd like to thank Chicago Tough for joining the show today. I'd like to thank Coach Officer Reggie for engineering and hosting the number and hosting the show. I'd like to thank you guys for listening. I'd like to thank you guys for joining Coach Ty today. Hope you enjoyed the Coach's Corner, and we look to get back on track with more future episodes of Coach's Corner for your guys' enjoyment. And hopefully you guys close out Season 1 strong, and if you're in Season 2, you get off to a good start. So that's it. Good night to everybody, and thanks for joining the show today. Thanks for Reggie for hosting it, and thanks for Chicago Tech for joining us. Thank you. Coach Ty is out.